In today's episode, I'm going to teach you Choose Your Hard, 4 reasons to choose marriage over divorce. Welcome to the Dr. Wyatt Show, where developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve. And following my tools is one path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, a licensed psychologist specializing in couples counseling. Be sure to call me on the show live Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with your marriage questions. You can reach me at 303-578-0618. And be sure to follow me on social at Dr. Wyatt Fisher. So you may have heard of this adage, this phrase that's been thrown around recently, which is choose your hard. And it refers to a lot of times we have 2 choices in front of us. And both choices aren't ideal. Both choices are challenging. Both choices are difficult. Both choices are hard. So a lot of times when we're married, we think, if we could just get out of this marriage, if I could just get out of this relationship, life would be so much better. But often we don't count the cost. We don't realize that we're jumping from one set of problems to another set of problems. So this episode today, I'm going to talk about choosing your hard, 4 reasons to choose marriage over divorce. Now, I do want to clarify a few things before moving forward. There is a time and place for separation. So don't hear today this message I'm going to talk about and think you should never get a separation, because there are times when you should get a separation. For example, if there's been any kind of domestic violence and you feel unsafe, get a restraining order and a separation. If there's chronic neglect and your partner refuses to work on the marriage, get a separation. If your partner is involved in an affair and they refuse to stop that affair and open up all accounts, get a separation. So there are times and places where separation is the right choice because you need those boundaries to protect yourself. So today I'm going to talk about, though, 4 reasons to choose marriage over divorce. Number 1 is you have to choose your hard between the discomfort of working through conflict versus the discomfort of not seeing your kids. Choose your hard. So working through conflict is hard. It's uncomfortable. We don't want to sift through our feelings. We don't want to look at what can I own. We don't want to talk about compromising. We don't want to learn tools. That's hard. It's hard work to work through conflicts. When I work with couples, the first thing I teach them is a conflict resolution tool called the Reunite tool. You can Google it. It's the first thing I teach couples, and it's hard. It's not easy. It's the most difficult of all the tools I teach. But it's so powerful once couples start to learn it, once they start internalizing it, once they start to use it. It usually takes 4 to 6 sessions with me before they really understand it and can use it on their own. But it's hard. It's not easy. But think of a different type of hard. Imagine you got a divorce and now you're not seeing your kids full time anymore. Imagine you only get to see them 50% of the week or less. That's also hard because now you're missing your kids. You're not able to see them day to day. You're not able to hear all their stories. You're not able to spend that time with them. That's also hard. So choose your hard. Number 2, the discomfort of learning to meet your partner's needs versus the discomfort of having someone else raise your children. So it's hard to learn how to meet our partner's needs. It requires us to become less selfish. By nature, we're all selfish. We want our way. We want our needs to be met. We want things done specific to our preferences because that's just how we're wired. So learning to become a good partner is hard because we have to learn to tend to our partner's needs. We have to learn what their needs are. We have to learn to put our needs aside at times and think about what's best for our spouse. That's hard work. There's tools for that. That's why I've created the Love Bucket tool, the Keep the Glow app, KTG. That app is designed to help you and your partner learn to love each other, learn to serve each other. It's hard work to meet your partner's needs. It's not easy. It doesn't come natural. There's a whole program to it. You have to really study your partner. You have to understand what they need, how they're defining their terms. Then you have to get feedback over and over on how you're doing meeting their needs. It's not easy. It's hard work. But it's also hard if you get a divorce and someone else is starting to raise your children. If your partner remarries, now your children have a step parent. They have a stepmom or a stepdad, and that person is influencing your child. And you may not agree with how they're raising your child, but you have no control anymore because now you're divorced. That's also hard. It's hard seeing someone else raise your own children, influencing your children, raising them with values that are not part of your values. That's also hard. So choose your hard. Number 3, the discomfort of learning to communicate openly versus the discomfort of losing 50% of all your assets. So when you're married, learning to communicate openly is hard. A lot of us aren't used to communicating well. We're not sure how to fully listen properly to our partner when they talk. We're not quite sure how to empathize. How do you do that? You have to learn tools on how to empathize. That's why I teach the head heart check. How do we get off our chest things that have bothered us? There's a tool for that called the bullseye question. It's hard work. You have to learn these skills. How do we clear the air? How do we make sure we're not bottling things up? How do we have those marriage huddles once a week so that we're open and we're discussing any resentments that might be building up? How do we resolve those conflicts when they happen instead of sweeping things under the rug? How do I really share my tender underbelly with you and communicate about my needs, about my feelings? How do I do all that? It's hard work. You have to learn how to do those things. It takes a lot of effort. You have to really put in concerted focus and concentration and study. It's work. It's hard. But it's also hard if you get a divorce and you lose 50% of all your assets. Think about that. You'd have to sell your house and split the proceeds. You'd have to split up all of your retirement accounts. You have to pay child support. Everything you own, on average, no matter where you live, you have to cut all your assets in half when you get a divorce. That's a massive loss. Massive loss. So that's also really hard. You might go from feeling secure financially to completely insecure financially. You might go from feeling well prepared for retirement to having to start over for retirement. You don't want to stay married just for finances, but it's a reality. If you get divorced, you'll have to split 50% of your assets. That's really hard. So choose your hard. Number 4, the discomfort of working with a counselor or a coach versus the discomfort of getting divorced and being alone. So if you're struggling in your marriage, you need to work with someone, or else you would have made progress already. That's why there's marriage counselors. That's why there's relationship coaches. I have a practice. I see couples 2 days a week. I have coaches who work for me, and they're amazing. They're skilled in all my tools, and they work with couples every week, helping them, resolving their resentments, rekindling their love. That takes work. It's hard work to see a counselor or a coach because you get uncomfortable. You have to go to this office or you see them online, and they're going to make you talk through what happened in the conflict. They're going to make you own something. They're going to highlight your growth areas. It's going to get uncomfortable. You're not going to like it. It's not going to be pleasant at times. It's work. It's hard work. You much rather be sitting at home and scrolling through Netflix or scrolling through Instagram or looking at YouTube videos compared to going to a counselor or a coach. A lot of people don't want to do it. It's expensive. You have to pay money to see a counselor and a coach. It's hard work. But it's also hard to get divorced and now you're alone. You have no companion. You have no one to make memories with. You have no one to do things with. You have no one to meet your needs. And that's also hard. Now you're alone. Now you're lonely. No one to share the holidays with. No one to raise your kids with. You're all by yourself. That's also hard. So those are 4 areas where you need to choose your hard. The first one is the discomfort of working through conflicts versus the discomfort of not seeing your kids. Choose your hard. Number 2, the discomfort of learning to meet your partner's needs versus the discomfort of having someone else raise your kids. Choose your hard. Number 3, the discomfort of learning how to communicate openly versus the discomfort of losing 50% of your assets. Number 4, the discomfort of working with a counselor or coach versus the discomfort of getting divorced and being all alone. Thank you for listening to the Dr. Wyatt Show. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment and I'll respond. If you're listening to this podcast, the Dr. Wyatt Show, then be sure to leave a review so I can hear what you think if you found this valuable. To receive my free PDF on 4 steps of better communication, check for the link in the description. And remember, don't get a better partner, own your part, and become a better partner. Take care.